guys, welcome back to Made by Merrie. I know it has been a very long time since I've done a video, but I wasn't really sure which direction to go. And then I had some very good friends tell me that they wanted me to start from the very beginning and explain hooks and different kinds of yarn and what they're used for. And so that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to talk about some of the different kinds of yarn I have in my house, the different hooks and supplies I use in my crochet bag. And then I'm going to start by showing you how I hold my crochet hook. There are several different ways to hold them, but I only hold it one way and only one way that I've found that works the best for me. And then I will show you how to make a slip knot and then practice crocheting a chain, because that's what's going to get you started on just about every project. You're going to start to learn the basics of pulling through a loop. And the first thing you want to do is to make sure you get it consistent. And so I started off learning to make chains. I make really long chains, and then I would examine them and make sure that the chain lengths were consistent. And so that's where we're going to start. So here we go.
Okay, I don't know about you, but this was a staple in my aunt's houses and my grandmother's houses. It's the Aunt Lydia's crochet thread. This is used mainly to make like doilies and little lacy things. You can see just how thin this string is, this yarn is. It's very, very thin. This is considered part of the very fine collection with the lace, and so it's very, very thin and very, very tiny. And so with that, you would use a much smaller hook than say you would with a bulky yarn. Next, we have this yarn I actually pulled out of a sweater because I loved the yarn. I loved the feel of the yarn, but I didn't like the way the sweater was fitting anymore. So I pulled it out, and you can see it's also very, very fine, very, very thin. And so with this, you would also use a much smaller hook. Next, this is a ball of baby yarn. Again, baby yarn is super fine. Not super fine, but it's fine. And it's a smaller thread, and so therefore you would also use a smaller hook. Next, this is more of a light worsted weight yarn. This is one of those cake yarns from Walmart. It's a little bit thicker than the baby yarn. Let's see if I can get it up here with one hand so you can see. It's a little bit thicker than the baby yarn, but not by much. So this is a light worsted weight. You would use a slightly bigger hook than the baby yarn, than these three, but not as big, obviously, as our next yarn. Our next yarn is a medium worsted weight yarn. This, I don't know, I think it was a crimson color from Walmart. Most of my yarn ends up in balls because I have cats that think it's really funny to drag it all over the house. And so it ends up having to be rewound. But this is a medium worsted weight. This is what I use most, especially with my amigurumis and my my dolls and blankets and scarves and stuff. This is what I use the most of. But I just wanted to show you that's even slightly bigger than the light worsted weight. So this is the medium worsted weight, and this is what you will see most of. Next, this is a Sugars and Creams cone yarn. This is used for dish towels and wash rags. I also use it for my reusable Swiffer Wet Jet pads. So you can see on this, the sections, the different threads inside are much more defined than with the medium worsted weight. It's harder to separate the medium worsted weight than it is this dishwash cloth thread. And so that's what that thread is. And then the last thread that I have at my house is a bulky thread. This is a Chanel thread. It's going to be used for a blanket, but it is yet even thicker. So obviously you would have to use a bigger hook with this thread than you would with, say, the baby thread. And here is the meat and potatoes of my hooks. You can see I have a variety of sizes. And of course, they're used for different things. The smaller hooks are used for not only finer threads, but also if you want a tighter weave. I use this yellow one is my favorite. I use it for most of my amigurumis. It is a 3.5. I use that one the most. But I also use this pink one here, the 3, for a lot of my amigurumis or my little dolls. Obviously, if you want a tighter stitch, you use the smaller hooks. If you want a looser stitch, like for scarves or blankets, you would use a bigger hook. Also, if you're using a bigger yarn, you would use a bigger hook. Then I also have these 2 bad boys down here. These are for the bulky and the extra bulky yarns, because obviously you can't crochet a bulky sweater with a little bitty hook like this one. That's just not going to work. This is for like the lace. And then I also have this hook here, which has an end on it, kind of like a knitting needle. And this is more for some stitches that you use, almost ends up like a knitted stitch. So you will have 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. And this is just easier because it keeps it from falling off the end. And so those are my lovely little treasures. Okay, so we're going to get started. I have my 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. This is my favorite one that I use for most things. I have some medium worsted weight yarn. And I have a small pair of scissors that is only used for cutting fabric or yarn. So first of all, I'm going to teach you how to make the slip knot. You're going to start, you want to have a little bit of a tail. So you're going to start about, I don't know, a couple, 2-3 inches in. And you're going to loop your yarn around so that it makes a loop. You're just going to curl it up so it makes a loop. Okay. Then the piece that's in front will go around the back. Let me move that over. So that that yarn comes through the loop. Just like that. And then you're just going to pull that through. And then to tighten your loop, you're going to pull on that loose string. So let's do that one more time. About 2 or 3 inches in, you're going to curl your yarn up so that it makes a circle. The piece in front will wrap around the back so that you can see it through the loop. And then you're just going to pull that through the loop. And you will pull your tail to tighten. Now, I was taught to hold my crochet hook like this. Just like you would pick it up. I know some people hold it like this. I don't know how to use it like that. So sorry, I can't teach you how to use it that way. But I do know how to hold it like this. So you're going to insert your hook into the loop. And as you see, it's still got a lot of wiggle room. So you're going to want to pull that loose end and tighten that up a little bit. Not so much that you can't pull the hook through. Okay? Now to hold your yarn, again, this is just the way that I was taught. It's how I'm used to doing it, and I like it because it helps keep the string nice and taut. If your string's too loose, your loops will not be uniform. So I wrap it around my pinky and then up through my first finger. And that way I can kind of control how far to pull. And then I hold the knot in my thumb and middle finger. So we'll try that again. I wrap it around my pinky, use my first finger to lengthen the yarn, and then hold on to the knot with my first and middle finger. Then you're just going to wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through your loop. and then you're going to do it again. Wrap it around, pull it through. This is actually called a yarn over. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And you can look and see how uniform those are by holding your string nice and taut and just letting it loosely pull through your fingers. If you just let it go, I honestly don't even know how to do that, just to let it go. Just hold it like this, I guess. You don't have the same, see, first of all, you're grabbing only partial bits of your yarn, but also it's not the same uniform. See, I've got a big one, I've got little ones, and I've pulled through only part of my yarn, and as I pull, you can see it's gathering through there. And that's why I like holding it the way that I do. So we're going to back up with just our little slip knot. Well, actually, yeah, I can still get my hook in there. Okay, so again, I wrap around my pinky, and then I pull just enough through that I can hold my yarn taut here. Hold the knot with your first and middle fingers. I apologize for the shape my fingers are in, my nails and but anyway. And then you yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And you can see as I do that, I pull a little bit more yarn with my finger. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And you can see I move my thumb and my middle finger with each pull. That way my chain is nice and uniform. Yarn over, pull through, hold, move. Yarn over, pull through, hold, choke up. Yarn over, pull through, hold, move. Yarn over, pull through. And then as you get used to making these, you'll get to the point where you don't have to move your hand each and every time, and they're still very uniform. So you're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And you can see that that yarn moves nice and slow through my fingers so that I can keep my stitches very uniform. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now yours will not look like this right off the bat because it's going to take you some time to learn how to hold your yarn, how to pull it through just at the right pace. But just like a sewing machine, it has all these different wraps and curves. That's why you do that through your hand, so that you can help keep a little more consistent pull on your yarn. It doesn't just go everywhere. So practice this several times. I mean, I can't tell you how many lengths of chain I would make before I would pull it all out and start again, just to work on getting those stitches nice and consistent. Because if they're not nice and consistent, your work is not going to be nice and consistent, and you need to work on that first. So try that for me first. Feel free to like and share this video, and make sure that you subscribe so that you can see our next video. Practice those chains. Feel free to post in the comments. Even pictures would be fabulous. I'd love to see how everybody's doing, and maybe I can give you some tips and pointers. But keep practicing those chains. In our next video, we're going to work on making washcloths, which is a base for making blankets, scarves, and just about anything else you can think of. Talk to you next time.